Welcome to the Geniuses of Copywriting podcast, a peek into the minds and strategies of the world's greatest copywriters, marketers, and persuasion experts. And now, here's your host, Brian Casangina.
Hey guys, welcome to the Geniuses of Copywriting podcast. I'm really honored and privileged to have the one and only Jon Benson on the call today. So, Jon, thanks for taking out time to come on the show today. I really appreciate that, man.
Welcome to Brian. Hey.
Yeah, I've been following you for a long time, and you know we finally met up last year at MFA Live it was, and you're a guy who has pioneered a lot of stuff. So we'll skip the long intro, but I'm really interested in what you're doing now, because I have seen some of your ads on Facebook, and that's kind of what I wanted to touch on right away, because correct me if I'm wrong, but you're doing a lot of stuff with AI in copywriting. I'd love to know the story behind that and how that's going to revolutionize the industry.
Yeah, it's going to definitely revolutionize the industry. We've had about 7 years experience now in software and copy, starting with Accelerator, which was not AI at all. It was just an algorithm based, select the copy and choose another piece of copy, which was very revolutionary for video sales letters. I mean, it's produced more video sales letter winners than anything that I know of. So that was awesome. But then when the user would input data, the machine would learn from the data. It was basically second generation AI, meaning that it's still human dependent. Yeah. Because copy is so, copy's always in flux. Copy has got a lot of motion to it. So the stuff that's AI is really pretty wonky even now. Like it's just not as persuasive as it needs to be. We're going to be on the cutting edge of that as it changes. But the technology for Email Copy Pro is built around what we call dynamic blueprints, which is like blueprints and template structures that we know work. That they were submitted by everyone from Todd Brown to Ryan Dice to myself to, all these great copywriters. And rather than saying, let's just put a script together, and I won't name names, but there's some competitors that have scripts and they're just one guy writing scripts that, and this is completely different. There's like 30 guys contributing to this machine, and then the machine relearns how the language patterns are. So we'll create multiple language patterns for one offer. We know what the language patterns are because we're used to dissecting them. Yeah. So we'll dissect the patterns, create what's called a dynamic blueprint. So it changes dynamically. It's a blueprint that works, that changes dynamically. And then you input your unique message and the way that you say things. We even coach people how to do that through the software. Like, say it like this, do it like this. Put the verb first here, pick a verb from this list. So we force people into a pattern of thinking. And what comes out is copy that sounds like, A-list caliber guys wrote it, and that every time someone generates it, even if you're both in the same field, it sounds different. So it's a unique system. There's nothing like that out there, and that's Email Copy Pro. And then what we're doing now, after 2.5 years of testing that, and it's been sold for 2.5 years, we're going into copypro.ai. And copypro.ai is exactly what it sounds like. It is all copy, meaning everything from VSLs to webinars to ads to everything, sales pages, everything that you need copy-wise. And it's contributed not from a couple of guys or 30 guys, it's contributed from thousands of copywriters. Wow. They input it into the engine. And so we have all these different styles and mixes now, and the customers can scroll through and go, oh, I like this style. I want it to be aggressive tone, or I want it to be soft tone. I want it to contain these keywords. I want it specifically for this niche. And presto, you find 35 different variations of that. You pick one, and then it generates with your saved copy into the database and regenerates it using the AI neural net. So I think what comes out is instant copy once you get once you fill in the proper blank. So that's been the passion of mine. How can we? It's called syndicated copy. So I'm going to trademark that term. So, it's going to get TM behind it. We're in the works of doing this. So syndicated copy is like a syndicated photo that you would buy on iStock photo, right? You have one guy shoots one photo one time and it's downloaded 1,000 times. That's what we've done for copy. With the differences, and if you can imagine this, if you had like a photo on iStock photo, and every time it was downloaded, you could change it subtly to fit your own needs. So it was unique every single time. That's what we've done for copy. So it's not a script. It's literally dynamic. Yeah. So scripts are great for like, if you're a total newbie and you have to get something out. But what you got to realize is that there's 1,000 people that have used that script. And the odds of your customers being on the same lists are astronomically high. Like I'm in the fitness world, for example, primarily, and in internet marketing, obviously. So my fitness lists are completely, I mean, can't tell you how many people say, oh, I'm on Mike Geary's list, or I'm on Joel Marion's list, or whomever, you know.
Yeah.
So if I'm sending the same email from a script, it's going to sound really stupid. And that's what we didn't want to do. So that's copypro.ai, and that's what's coming out in February. So.
That sounds really cool, and it's a good point, because a lot of people think that, you know, it's just about these scripts and you know, the AI is not quite there yet. But obviously, you've advanced, you know, a lot further than what many people think you have. And you're right. When if they're on your list, then they're on everyone's list. And if you just send out you know, the same stuff, I mean, that's a problem when you have a product that you want affiliates for, and you send them out all the same email, the same email swipes to use, and then people on that list, and they get 10 emails all exactly the same for the same product. So obviously you avoid that with your application.
Yeah. It looks magical when people, because you can, you know, say I want an email campaign or a solo email. Let's say you just want to send out a promotional email for one thing, one day. You go in there, find the solo emails, you can look it up. It's for a VSL, so you can qualify it. And you go, okay, I kind of like this, but I want to click it and rewrite it, and it rewrites just in front of you. Yeah. So it's like, but what they don't see is it rewrites, but with the same blueprint, and that's what's important. It's because what causes these emails and any copy to work is the structure underneath it. It's not so. Sometimes it's the specific words. I mean, like if somebody has a killer hook and it's a very specific word. Yeah. But most of the time, from emails and from sales pages, it's the structure. Yeah, it's the formula behind it, or what we call the blueprint. Yeah, so if the blueprint can be altered with words that we know fit the same patterns that read totally differently, it still works. So that's what you get. Yeah.
And how is this better than like the old article spinners where you put the different variations of the word in, and then you'd hit the old software? I mean, this is going back many years, of course. So obviously, what you're doing is way more advanced than this, but it's just a thing I keep thinking.
So article spinners work out the idea of taking groups of texts and just substituting this group for that group for this group for that group. It doesn't do this group for that group plus dynamic fields plus these dynamic fields, then change this variable if this field says this, and you know, so it's night and day different, and also it's not pulling from different writers. So we can literally have a sales page written by 3 different copywriters, and customer downloads a sales page instantly. The moment that they purchase the sales page, all 3 copywriters are instantaneously paid. So I mean, think of this from a copywriter's point of view. Like, people were concerned when Email Copy Pro came out. I mean, literally, the number 1 complaint I got was, I'm afraid it's going to put copywriters out of business. And that is a legitimate truth for email, okay, that it could very well do that. Well, Copy Pro is employing copywriters. So literally, you can come into the system, you pay to get certified. The more you pay, the more you can do. And you can submit infinite amount of copy to the system. And it can be used over and over and over because it's syndicated. So it can be used over and over. It can be used 100 times by 50 different businesses. And every time it's used, you get paid. So it's a new way for copywriters to get paid. It's a completely different paradigm. So it's like comparing. It's sort of like saying an article spinner and Copy Pro is like a tricycle and a Ferrari. They both have wheels. They both get you from one place to the other. One's a little bit slower. So that's pretty much about the extent of it. You know, some have metal maybe. You know, but it's pretty different.
I guess I'm showing my age and how long I've been in the game. Thinking back to these article spinners, I don't think they've been very popular for some time.
I remember them. We built Email Copy Pro off of some of the same technology that spinners use, which is pretty simple. If it's not this sentence, then this sentence. What did on top of that is where all of the magic happens, which is putting these dynamic variable fields in here that would pull based on if it's this kind of verb structure, it pulls this field. If it's this kind of, and so that's much more complicated. And also that puts your language and our language together. And that was the thing with article spinners, is that you're spinning an article that's pretty much saying the same thing, but this you can read these and it doesn't look like it's the same. It looks completely different.
That's really interesting, and it shows that it's night and day from that old article spinner software, which went out of fashion a long time ago. But I want to come back to the other point, which is which everyone has a concern about AI, especially if they're a copywriter. I'm waiting for the day when this can all be done for me, so I don't have to write the copy. I can just come up with the sort of high level strategy things. But as a copywriter, and we're both copywriters, and there's a lot of copywriters out there who are worried about AI, taking away the ability for them to not just charge high fees, but write copy in the first place. But like you say, there's still a lot of human input that's required.
So here's the way we see it going down. And granted, I'm not going to get into the Elon Musk versus Stephen Hawking debate on AI and stuff, but we're not talking about Terminators taking over the world right now. But as far as copywriting AI goes, what I see is what's going on right now, and what we're at the apex of for sure. I mean, we're turning that corner along with everybody else that's in this business. Is you're going to have, within 5 years, you'll have copy that can be generated with a smart machine like ours, for example, but is dependent upon being trained to be smart. So that's the thing people miss with AI. It's not like, machine learning is one thing. Self-aware AI is a long ways away, and it's not self-aware, and it can't figure out, hey, I should go off and read this book by, Gary Benson, then I'll get. We're not there yet, right? We're having copywriters input this data, and it learns as you're inputting the data. It's like, oh, this works, and this works. And it still has to go through a human eye on our side of it, because I don't, I like machines, but I don't trust them to the extent that I trust humans. So it has to be every piece of copy in CopyPro is approved by a human being. Every variation of it. So that is mandatory. You can't just stick stuff up there because you might end up with garbage. So AI is going to be smart enough to be able to do like about 60 to 80% of the copywriting needs that most of us need most of the time, like emails, campaigns to funnels, ads, things like that. But very much like, and I'm going to go back to the stock photography analogy. If you had to create a website and you needed a picture of a group of executives around a board all looking at a computer, would you call up a photographer and go, okay, I need you to come over to my house? No, let's rent an office building. Let's rent an office for, 10 grand and hire about 30 actors. And would you do that?
No.
Or would you go to a stock photo and pay $1? Which one would you do?
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
So I'm old enough to remember, because I owned an ad agency back in the 90s. That's what the former is what we used to do. We used to go and hire all of that out because there was no iStock photo. That's what people are doing right now with copywriters. They're doing it for mundane stuff like, I need an email campaign, or even, I'm going to get a little risque here, even VSLs or even sales pages. I need a sales page. Okay. Yes, absolutely you do. Okay. The difference is that 80% of people will be perfectly okay with a stock sales page, especially one that's super high quality. Like you got stock photography now that looks kick-ass. You got badass photographers doing this stuff, right? Yeah. So they're totally happy with it. But what if you were getting married? Would you get stock photography for your wedding?
No.
Of course not, right? So that's the same way copywriters are going to be. It's like, what if you're going to need a very specific piece? Okay, I want an ad that's really hot right now, targeting immigration, because that's a hot topic right now in the United States. Yeah. So the odds of finding that through AI is next to impossible. Then I have a great hook. Then you hire copywriters to work with that. But all the adjunct copy pieces, it's going to save copywriters a ton of time. So like if I write a VSL, it's like writing the email campaign that goes forward and all that kind of stuff, and ads that go forward. That I personally don't even do that, but a lot of copywriters do. But now you could actually tie all that stuff in and get it done in a few minutes. And then get the framework of your VSL done in a few minutes, and then have the copywriters come in and go, okay, we're going to tweak this and make it really super custom. That's still going to be the domain of copywriters for a long time. So what we want to do, we're creating the bridge. Okay, think of this as an ecosystem. We're creating an ecosystem for copywriters to come in, get paid. Okay, that's very important, and also be at the forefront of this technology. If they're not at the forefront of this technology, they're going to be behind it. And that's a really bad scene. So they'll be the ones that contribute to the machine, not putting themselves out of business, putting themselves into work. It's a totally different paradigm. So that's what we see, at least. So, and that's going to be about maybe 5 years. And at the end of 5 years, the machine learning will become very smart. So you're either into this game or you're out of it completely. Then you become a wedding photographer if you're a copywriter. Or you can be at the forefront of this, and you're actually making a lot of money by putting copy into iStock photo.
That makes a lot of sense. And if you're a photographer, that is one of the no-brainer things that you do. You put your photos on those sites, and that's because gigs for wedding gigs are depending how good your marketing is. They can be piecemeal and here and there and hit and miss. But but if you're a good photographer, you've probably got your photos on thousands of websites. So it's a great analogy.
It's like one last analogy if I can. It's like Uber, if you think about it. Like what Uber did is they said, okay, we've got 80% of cars is undriven 80% of the time.
Yeah.
So they're thinking to themselves, okay, well, that's an 80% of an asset that's not being used, it's sitting in your driveway. What if we paid you to use it? Okay. Yeah. And we don't have to buy the cars. Well, obviously, if you're in a city with Uber, no one calls a cab. I mean, no one sane calls a cab. I mean, I live part-time in Vancouver. That's where I'm at right now. And I have to call a cab. And I hate it every freaking time because I don't have Uber.
They don't have Uber there. Oh, okay.
Everything. And not only that, they made it cheaper. And here's the cool thing about it. It's like, imagine, like in the Uber analogy, like you call Uber and you're like, it's usually like 3 minutes away, right? Oh, 3 minutes away. Yeah, well, it's one of like 30 guys out there and I'll take it for 3 minutes, right? Well, what if instead of that, you could go, okay, I need to go somewhere, and you had 30 guys all lined up out front, and you could walk out and go, I'll take that car with those wheels and that driver. That's more like Copywriting. I'll take this with this and put it together. And go.
That's fully customizable.
It's already there. It's like it's assets that are already there, and copywriters that are like, how many email campaigns have you written? Right? How many sales letters have you written as a copywriter? Well, you could actually syndicate those sales letters and email campaigns if you wanted to. So you're taking assets that are just sitting there, not doing anything, unless somebody owns the copyright to them, and then put them up into the system. So that's the master plan. So
I'm just trying to think back at how many emails and sales pages I have written.
That you wrote 4 years ago that still could kick ass today, and it could live forever in a library that people could access, and then you could syndicate it, and that means I could use it for weight loss, and you could use it for dog training. Now, I know that sounds completely far-fetched, but we've already proven that with email copy. It's one of my favorite examples to say is I'll show you the same email for dog training and for weight loss, and completely disparate things. I mean, yeah,
that's really interesting because for a copywriter back in the day, at least when I was studying, the only sales pages that were kind of recorded and used for different purposes were stuff done by the legends like Halbert and Ben Svenga and Dan Kennedy and all that. Now sounds like anything that a good copywriter can write can be used in that way as well. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. Well, the things that Gary wrote, for example, Halbert, every one of those. I mean, I was Bond and his son promoted email copy wrote because they saw what this could do. I said, you give me a Gary Halbert letter or Gary Halbert email. I took a letter and put it into email form. I said, I'll take this letter and break it into a template, into what we call a blueprint. And because we'll just go, it's a pattern up here, and then he goes into what if here, and then he goes into, so we'll just break it into the what they're doing, right? And write multiple versions around that, and presto, you've got it. So you'll have guys that are copywriters that, you know how many guys, like you probably did this yourself, write out by hand, like they'll write John Carlton letters out by hand. That's been John Carlton gives that exercise a lot. Well, there's a lot of guys that will write out sales letters by hand and go, I'm going to write my own version of this. And they're just taking the structure. Well, they can upload that to CopyPro. So if the structure works with Albert, it's going to work with this. I mean, it's not writing out the same word for word. We actually do a search to find out. We can't search email, obviously, but we can search sales letters, ads, via sales, and we'll do copy searches to make sure that these guys aren't plagiarizing something. But yeah, so that's the world we're moving into, and it's the world we're moving into whether copywriters want to do it or not. So what I wanted to do is, rather than put them out of work, I want to give them a way to actually get far more employment. In fact, the last thing I'll say on this, because I know it's a long conversation, but I would say 90% of copywriters are in that B level to C level. Yeah, and I'm not trying to be consulting. A lot of B level writers, and even C level writers write really good stuff sometimes, but they don't have an audience that we have. Maybe they don't have big names calling them to write their stuff. I mean, I got a call yesterday because I don't write copy for anyone anymore, but my friend Isabel called me and said, "Hey, would you make would you?" I said, "Make an exception," and he's because they're like a major company, and it's like, I love those guys. I've known them for 10 years. So, but they don't have. So most guys don't have that kind of pick and choose. What we're going to do is take all the B and C level guys and girls and freaking elevate them to A level, because they have to go through training and they're writing within structures, and they'll start writing naturally just the way we train people to write. So So they'll go from not getting any gigs or getting very few gigs to having stuff downloaded all the time. And that's what I see. So I see a lot of like the top guys, like the Chris Haddad's of the world. Like, Chris is a good friend of mine. So he's a badass copywriter.
Yeah.
Myself or whomever you want to put in that list of badass copywriters. There are always going to be those guys out there that are going to be doing that. But there's going to be a lot of B and C level guys that you've never heard of that are going to be like writing sales letters that are just complete smash hits, So that's our goal, is to pull in these guys and make it the army, like it's an army of 2,000 or 3,000, or even 10,000 contributors. We call them contributors. So this is articles too. So people write articles. So that's in the works. We're not waiting on this. We're getting funded right now, but we didn't wait on it. I just went and spent the money.
Yeah, cool. What about say you have up to about 10,000 copywriters, but there's some people always going to be outside of that. Could a copywriter use that to put together like 90% of the project, and then they like if they're on a freelance basis and they create the 90% of the project there with the software, and then they just polish up the rest to tweak it to the individual little bits of the particular client?
Yep. Yeah. We have like 3 iterations rolling out in versions 1, 2, and 3. Version 1.0 is going to roll out in February. And that's not going to feature the ability to contact the contributors, because the contributors are going to be mostly in staff, right?
Yeah.
So that's our testing, getting 5 or 10 guys on our staff and saying, okay, just feed the machine with everything you can think of. So we'll find out everything that's wrong with that. Then version 2 will be out within about 6 months of that. And that will feature contributors coming in from all over the world. And that will allow the customer to say, I'm going to reach out like you would on Fiverr.
Yeah.
You'll see like, Bob123 might be the guy's name. And then we monitor the chat. So the chat gets monitored, and it gets flagged if people are saying, here's my email address and all that kind of stuff. So we keep everything in the house. But yeah, that's going to be kind of cool. That's going to be necessary, because somebody might say, I really love this campaign, but we need 2 more emails for this. Can you write something specific? Yeah. And everything in our system is credit based. So the customer buys, 5,000 copy credits, and they can spend, okay, yeah, what's your charge? Okay, I'll charge you 1,000 credits. We're just the house. So we take 10% and they off to the races.
Interesting. Yeah.
So it's really going to be cool. It's a new paradigm, and it's never been done before until Email Copy Pro. So I kind of figured, why not try to do something completely stupid? But Email Copy Pro, believe me, for years, I thought this was the dumbest thing I've ever taken on, because it's like, there's no way to do it. There's no way to systematize copy and have it sound like I wrote it. Like, I didn't want it to sound like, hi, are you interested in losing weight? If you are, you can go here. Anyone could do that, right?
Yeah.
The copy that comes out of there is like, when I was a child, I spent time with my grandmother. So it's like stuff like, we would write as copywriters, right?
Yeah.
How do you write a nostalgic copywriting piece and have it work for anything? So that was really hard. But once we figured that out, it's copy pro came naturally.
Yeah. And we could spend a lot more time on this, because it's such a huge thing. I mean, AI is coming and it's here to stay. We're making so many advances all the time, and I'm guessing that whatever we're doing right now, what you're talking about right now, we ain't seen nothing yet. And I'm sure there's a lot more advances to come.
Yeah. We want to be on the cutting edge of that, on the leading edge of that, and that's the reason we decided. My partner and I, he's used to running 10-figure businesses, and we decided to go into the angel fund investor and venture capital realm to raise funds to get this to the much faster than we can do it just as direct response marketing. So that's what we're in the process of doing now.
Yeah,
so,
cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really interesting. And it's also, a bit of a relief for some copywriters who thought they might be out of work with all the AI.
Right. Yeah,
it's going to help. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing, okay, so Brian, how much training have you done as a copywriter? I mean, how many courses have you taken?
I wouldn't be able to count.
Right. So
10, 15, 20, 30.
So we're going to have certification courses for every component of copywriting: ad certification, email certification, this certification. And you'll buy a package. You go, this comes with the email, article, and ads. Okay. So you'll get certified to do that. And the training's from me and some of the top copywriters out there. So this is, so we're just going to add to that library over time, because as we develop more and more contributors, we'll have more and more people that hey, I've got a really kick-ass ad thing. Okay, cool. Let's teach it in the ad syndication or the ad certification program. So So yeah, so it's a way for copywriters to learn the structures of what we're doing. Even if they never use the machine, they could buy just the certification.
Yeah.
But then why wouldn't you use the machine? Because then it's like,
I mean, it's there and it's working
right
for you.
here.
So, yeah.
You get out in the ether, man. And also, it's not like it's not like Medium, for example. There's millions of articles on Medium.com, and most of them don't make any money, and they're really good. So we're going to take those Medium guys and go, well, come over here, and we'll pay you for this. Right? Now, I know Medium, they get paid if they get a certain amount of thumb ups or thumbs. I forget their pay structure, but this is like, no, we can show you how to write an article, and you can get paid every single time someone downloads that article. And if you just change a couple of variables inside the article, so it's just, it's a much bigger thing that we're dealing with.
That's something that direct response copywriting has always done, because there's lots of different kinds of writing. There's journalism and there's content writing and stuff, but direct response copywriting is always the thing that you say, this kind of writing is great, but if you want to get paid, come and do copywriting.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, there's so many businesses out there. I mean, think about it this way. Like if you write on Medium, the odds of a business owner looking on Medium and finding an article and go, I'm going to pay you for that article is pretty steep.
Yeah, pretty low.
But if you write on copypro.ai, you write an article on cryptocurrency. Let's say you write an article on Bitcoin, right? Well, we're going to have like hopefully millions. I know that's the goal, but at least tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of small business owners and guys like entrepreneurs and guys, marketers that are actively searching for, I need an article on crypto, or I need an email series on crypto. Yeah. Where would you rather be? It's literally the only ecosystem out there that's just putting those two things together. So.
Yeah, that's really interesting too. I want to find out more about that and tell people where we can find out more about that. But there's one question that I always ask on this podcast, which is kind of a personal question of mine, because I want to get an insight into the weird world of copywriting. Who is the weirdest or most quirky copywriter or marketer that you know of in the industry?
God, man, there's a long litany. Let me see. I'm trying to think of the most. Haddad ranks up there for sure, as one of the quirkiest guys I know. Certainly, the guy has an insane amount of talent in his left pinky, but you see, I would say Perry Belcher. Yeah. If I had to like really get down to, because Perry, I don't know very many people that have had. Perry can manufacture money out of thin air. He's the closest thing to Gary Halbert we have today. He's a fucking genius. He really is. We get in arguments over the time all the time on who's better, and he, for whatever reason, thinks I'm better at the health space. I disagree, but and I don't know how much more quirky you can get than going to jail and going and like literally getting that much in trouble and turning around and becoming a partner in digital marketer. And he's settled down over the years. He's not as crazy as he used to be back when he lived in Austin. But I'd say he's definitely, and he's also a guy that doesn't come up sometimes when people talk about copywriters, because he's not really known as a.
He's more under the radar.
Only a contact marketer, but no, he's a killer.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, that'd be my take.
Yeah, cool. So thanks for that, and I really appreciate the insight you've given us today on the future of AI and copywriting and marketing and where it's all headed. So what should people do to get not in touch with just you, but find out more about CopyPro?
Yeah, go to copypro.ai, and we've got our front-facing website up there now. There's actually no VSLs, nothing like that. It's all corporate.
So it's a Jon Benson site without a VSL.
Yeah. Well, can't not selling anything yet. So go there, check out. You'll see what's going on. You can check it out from a customer or contributor side, and then you can see what's going on. And then if you're interested in finding out what we're doing, go to invest.copypro.ai. That's also where a lot of things are happening right now.
Which was the second one, sorry?
Invest.copypro.ai.
Invest.
So. Invest. So you can go you can just go to copywriter.ai and click invest if you're interested in, because we're about to do it's called a Reggae Plus, where you don't have to be an accredited investor. You can invest in some small, I think it's $400 minimum, but we're going to be giving away our own cryptocurrency tokens for people that are investing. That's coming up here. So both of those things are very important to do.
yeah, I think they are too, because AI is like we keep saying, it's the future. It's where copywriting is going. And the good news is, like you've been saying, it's not putting copywriters out of work. It's making it better for all of us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't feel good putting people out of work. I was like, hey, what if we did this? Yeah. And plus everyone's going to make it better. I can't think of anything better than coming to work and having, 30 great copywriters on staff and hundreds around the world going, hey, here's how we can make things better. Because then just think about the power of that. I mean, think what it's going to do for just the consumers in the world. I mean, having copywriters all checking their own work. I mean, everybody writes better in teams. In fact, that's one of Kevin Rogers' rules, is he always writes with somebody else now. And I think that's brilliant, because I always write better with somebody else. Now you can write.
That's something good I found about being on the Mind Valley copywriting team as well. It's like Kevin says, nobody writes alone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So everyone should definitely go to copypro.ai. We'll check it out there. And thanks for coming on, Jon. And thanks for sharing us all that stuff, because it's really interesting, the future of copywriting.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it, man.
See you soon.
Thank you for listening to Geniuses of Copywriting with Brian Casangina. To get the full transcript and all the resources mentioned on today's show, go to www.geniusesofcopywriting.com now.